AIDESO, the only revolutionary student organization in this country. And today is a very significant occasion. Today is 9th May, just 75 years ago, on this very day, the workers, the peasants, and the common people of then USSR, they waved the red banner, the banner of revolution on Reichstag, the parliament of Germany. We are celebrating this day as the victory day of the Great Patriotic War. You all know AIDESO. It is the only student organization which is carrying out a struggle to carry forward the tradition of social reformers, revolutionaries, and freedom fighters of this country. We know all these freedom fighters and revolutionaries of our country, they laid down their lives for the freedom of our country. We celebrate their birth anniversaries and martyrdom day every year. But lakhs of people died in this patriotic war. They fought not a simple war. They fought against fascism. They fought against fascist forces. They were encircled by all imperialist capitalist forces. They were just in the threshold of the building up of their socialist society after a successful revolution under the leadership of Lenin. And they had to face this imperialist war without any invitation, without their involvement. They were imposed upon this war. So they fought very bravely against that. But they fought not only to save their own country, they fought not only to save social society in their country, they fought to save the entire humankind. And so the way in which we remember the martyrs, the freedom fighters, revolutionaries of our country, similar manner, such young boys, girls, women, all they laid down their lives in this great patriotic war. We shall salute them on this very day. The important thing about this patriotic war was the main spirit behind the courage and strength of the Red Army and the people of USSR was that they are holding the banner of socialism. They are taking the lead for the emancipation of the human beings of entire world with that spirit. And that's why, though Hitler's fascist army was very powerful, had the modern equipments and much more in number, and yet outnumbering them, out-strengthening them, they defeated this fascist army and pushed them back up till Germany, where the Hitler has to commit suicide. And on their way, they liberated many of the countries who were either ruled by some exploiters or by some imperialist forces. So we see that the main spirit behind this victory, behind this fight for the people of USSR was socialism, defense of socialism, and holding high the banner of socialism. So on this very day, we have organized this discussion. Let me introduce to Shri Amitava Chatterjee. He is Central Committee member of Socialist Unity Center of India Communist, the only revolutionary party on the soil of India. He is also the editorial board member of Proletarian Era, the fortnightly organ of SUCA Communist. He will today talk about the significance of this socialism. You all know the topic. Now, I am not taking any longer, and I will request Shri Amitava Chatterjee to start the discussion.
Thank you, Bhavik, for offering me. Actually, first of all, I must offer my thanks and congratulations to Students' Pledge, the official organ of AIDESO, the Revolutionary Students' Organization of India. Students' Pledge means it is run by the students. So today's program also has been organized or has been dreamt up by the students and youth of this country. This is the happiest thing to me. Actually, the students and youths are organizing such programs, are organizing to remember the history, the black and white history, the black side, the white side of the history. Why? Because they want to know the history, and they must know the history not to get crippled inside that history, but to go forward, to go forward in the march of civilization. And to march forward in the civilization, it is the students' community who has to bear the greatest responsibility. So it is the happiest thing to learn and to be invited on this occasion to speak before you. Now about this 75th anniversary of the great war, Second World War. Till now in history, human history, this is regarded as the most awesome, most ferocious, most murderous war in history. Till now, there was no such war that sacrificed, that brought into the open, that snatched the lives of more than 2 crores, 3 crores of people. This is the history. So first of all, what I want to mention or to point out and to draw your attention to the fact that to think that it was a war between USSR and Germany will not be proper, will not be correct, will not be history. Actually, it is a war between Soviet socialism and whole imperialist world. It was a war between USSR, between socialism and capitalist imperialism of the world. Probably you know that since the birth of socialism in USSR, all the imperialist, capitalist, and the reactionary forces of the world got united to destroy it at the birth itself. They conspired in all way how to bury, how to destroy, how to push it to the grave, this new dawn of new civilization, completely a new civilization in the history of mankind. Because for some it was a dawn, for some it was the end of their rule. So the enemies of civilization, the enemies of people, the enemies of the toiling people, the enemies of the freedom, liberty, equality, they could smell that if this socialism in USSR advances, can draw more people from throughout the world, then the death knell of capitalism, imperialism will be sung very soon, very soon. So who knows the history? They know since the birth of Soviet socialism, all imperialist forces jumped on it to bury it, to destroy it, continuous civil war was there. It is the first chapter. No, when it grew up and could proceed, and the imperialists saw its advanced march, so they conspired how to kill it, how to destroy it. So the imperialists were at one hand to encourage, to give succor to Hitlerite Germany, to Hitler, to German fascist forces. It is the monopolists of Germany who backed Hitler, who actually brought Hitler to the post of chancellor of that country. But these monopolists were also backed by all the monopolists, by all the imperialist forces of the world. Yes, they saw their savior in fascism against socialism. Yes, so the height of Stalin's leadership lies here. It is not only his bravery, it is not only he led the Soviet Union in the battlefield and snatched victory from the fascist German forces. The giantness, the greatness of this leader is his foresight. That he could foresee the game plan of the imperialist forces of the world. He could foresee that these forces are at one, are united to destroy Soviet Union by this or that means. So that war was imminent, that they were planning to impose war on Soviet Union. Stalin could smell, Stalin could foresee, and that Germany is going to be that force who will be incited against the Soviet Union. That Stalin could smell. The leadership of Soviet Party could smell. So Stalin, from the very beginning, when there was no sign of war, Stalin could smell, and Stalin invited all the so-called democratic, that means imperialist capitalist forces of the world, of Europe particularly, to unite, to come into unity, so that unitedly they can thwart the danger of German fascism, the danger of German war machine. But none responded. None responded. If you go through the history, you will find Soviet government was appealing time and again to them. Time and again to them. Let us sit, let us talk, let us unite. But they did not respond. When Stalin became confident that they were planning to destroy Soviet Union through German fascism, through German war machine, he went for a non-aggression pact in 1939 with Hitler-led Germany. It was a slap. It was a slap on the face of these imperialist and capitalist forces. Those scoundrels and rascals who show this non-aggression treaty as a compromise of Comrade Stalin, they were thrown into the dustbin of history. They have been proved as rubbish. Yes, I particularly mentioned these rascals and scoundrels because they were not there to save Soviet Union. Knowing fully well, Stalin went that Hitler would not honor this treaty. Hitler would walk over this treaty. Hitler would throw this treaty into ashtray and attack Soviet Union. But why Stalin went for this treaty? Because Stalin, the newly born Soviet state, industrially backward, industrially not so developed, armamentally not so developed. By armaments, Soviet Union was not so developed. They had, because they did not give importance to weapons production. They gave importance to books production, industrial products production, for the well-being, whatever needed for the well-being of the people. So they did not go for weapons production. So they were lagging. So Stalin wanted some time to prepare the country for war through weapon production, industrial production. And an industrially backward country cannot combat this fiercest military machine of the West. He took time. So when the time came in 1941, 22nd June, Hitler struck Soviet Union. From the very start, Hitler's plan was to crush Soviet Union because Red Soviet was their thorn in the eye of all. If you go through the history, you will find Spain's ruler Franco was commanding to his soldiers, yes, you join the Axis, but don't fight. You join the Axis power. Spain will join the Axis power, but don't fight the European powers. You have to fight against the Red Soviets. So they were joining Hitler's army, but don't fight against France, England, these European capitalist forces, imperialist forces. If to fight, then fight against the Red Soviet. So Soviet socialism was their thorn in their eyes. So when Germany attacked Soviet Union, some say that it was very sudden and Soviet Union was caught unaware. This is not correct. On the very date, on 1941, I cannot just remember the date, exact date, Stalin addressed the nation. And initially, Soviet Russia was defeated. German's army, you must know, this was the fiercest army in the world. And the whole Eastern Front was the total area of the Eastern Front was 1,800 miles front. And throughout all the front, Germany's war machine jumped. Germany's war machine jumped into that front with so many tanks, so many panzers, so many aircrafts. I cannot just remember, I cannot say you, but this much I can say you, that in number of soldiers that Germany deployed was 3.5 million. Can you imagine? 3.5 million only soldiers, that means persons were deployed in the eastern border of Soviet Union. And initially, Soviet Union was moving backward. And on that night, particularly, Stalin addressed the nation. What Stalin said? Stalin said, yes, we are attacked. We are attacked and we are getting defeated. But my countrymen, be sure we will win. Why we will win? Because we have this spirit. And why Soviet Union could win? Here is the point. Now I will come back to this point later. Now, Germany, before attacking Soviet Union, he took over France, he took over England, he took over other European countries. Nowhere Hitler faced any opposition, any stiff resistance, nowhere. So Hitler took himself as already the hero of the world, as already the king of the world. He won all the European countries, actually. But his original plans was Soviet Union. So after winning France, England, and other European countries, he gave constant attention to Soviet Union. And he attacked on the 22nd June of 1941. The code name was Barbarossa, in the name of a port of Germany. It was the fiercest attack. And when they attacked, Soviet army, Red Army, Soviet people, others were actually virtually defenseless. They could not resist it. But Stalin was there. Stalin gave the strength, not only the strength, mental strength, and people could think that yes, we would win. Why? Because Stalin is there. So when we say Stalin's leadership, the great Stalin's leadership, it was not because of we are eulogizing one individual. Why Stalin could do this? Because Stalin was a Marxist. Because Stalin was the disciple of Lenin. Because he was a Marxist-Leninist. Because he was a dialectician. Because he knew dialectical materialism. He could apply dialectical materialism in the science of war. He could foresee when even Germany attacked. Stalin appealed time and again appealed to the West. Only very late they offered any help. But even when the war was proceeding and Germany was attacking fiercely against Soviet Union, Stalin appealed to the Western leaders, Western imperialist powers. You open a second front in Europe. Why? Because if you open a second front in Europe, German forces would be divided. So from the Eastern Front, Hitler would be compelled to pull up some forces and deploy it in the Western Front. But to utter dismay, you will be rather astonished to know, some will be astonished to know, no, they did not comply with the appeal or request of Comrade Stalin, Soviet Union. They did not open. Why? Because they wanted that Hitler destroy Soviet Union. Soviet socialism gets destroyed. Their number one enemy get destroyed. It was their intention. It was their plan. It was their dream. So they did not respond. And when they opened the second front, we are celebrating 9th May as the victory day of Second World War by the people of the whole world. But Western powers celebrate 8th May. To them, 8th May is the day of victory. Why? Because they opened the second front in December, in the month of December 1944, in the Normandy, in the northern side of France, in the sea beach, Normandy landing. There the Marines of the European forces landed. And from there, they tried to go to Germany. So it was in the month of December 1944 when Soviet Red Army was marching towards Berlin and was advancing rapidly. It became clear to all in the world that Hitler is going to be defeated. Soviet Union is going to be victorious. Then and then only they opened a second front in the by Normandy landing in the France. Why? Because they could very well understand the glory of this victory will all go to Soviet socialism. So their number one enemy will become the hero of the world. So what they wanted, they felt that their whole plan was going to be frustrated. So at the last moment, in the month of December, so only 6 months before the end of Second World War. Second World War was ended on 1945 May, and they opened the second front in 1944 December, in the month of December. Or June or December, something like that. And there, on 8th May, they planned that German commanders will surrender to them. When they became sure that Soviet Red Army was going forward to Berlin rapidly, and the day is not far when German troops would surrender to Soviet Red Army, they staged a surrender ceremony in France by the Axis forces. Some generals surrendered to the European generals. They show this is the victory day, that is 8th May is the victory day, to snatch, to take away the glory from Soviet Union. But they could not suppress the truth. They could not suppress the truth before the whole world. World people know it was Soviet Union who brought defeat to the German army, who brought defeat to the fiercest army, fiercest military power of that time, Hitlerite Germany. And it was the leadership of Stalin. Why leadership of Stalin? Leadership is the most important thing. Without leadership, however strong you may be, you cannot lead. It is the leadership. And it became a legend. Stalin became actually a legend among the people of the whole world. There was a famous poem of Pablo Neruda. I cannot just recite it, but the essence is there. When all were sleeping, in the world at night, one light was coming through the window of Kremlin, Moscow. Why? Because Stalin is awake. Light is coming through the window of Kremlin. Stalin is awake there. The guard, the protector of the whole world. So when he is awake, don't get afraid. This was thing at that time. We are not born then. We were born afterwards, but we heard stories from our fathers, from our mothers, from our elderly people, and from history, from reading history. Such things were born there. So when Soviet soldiers faced the Germany, the name of Stalin was in their mouth. Stalin, Stalin, Stalin. It gave them courage. It gave them strength. It gave them boldness. And not only that, they were fighting for whom? Yes, Stalin turned this war into a patriotic war for the people of Soviet Union. But to the people of Soviet Union, what was this war? They were fighting, they could understand, they were made to understand that you are fighting not only for you, not only for your country, you are fighting for the whole civilization. If Germany is not defeated, whole civilized world will be under chains. So you are the savior of mankind. Don't forget your greatest responsibility. And the last Germans' defeat came from started from Stalingrad. The Stalingrad war is something to be read, something to know. When Leningrad fell, Stalin was there. When German army invaded Stalingrad, actually the war in Stalingrad was something unthinkable in history. Every house, every street was the battlefield. People were fighting German army through their utensils, whatever they got in their hands. And from this Stalingrad, German army started to go back, started to go backward. And it was the end of the Germans' war machine. And not only that, you will be astonished to know that these imperialist forces did not stop their dreaming of killing Soviet Union even during the war, even after the war. If you go to the Wikipedia or you go to the internet, you will find there is one. Just 2 days ago, I found it. Again, Operation Unthinkable. The code name was Operation Unthinkable. At the fag end of the war, after the war, suppose in 1945, after May or during May, the British were planning with the US forces that they would again attack Soviet Union, because Soviet Union is now exhausted. They will not be able to resist. So somehow they could not, somehow they did not, but it was also planned, and that code name was Operation Unthinkable. Yes, you go to the history, you will find. By this, I want to show that it was a class war. Second World War is a class war in the sense that it was a war between the imperialist capitalists and the toiling people of the world. Imperialist capitalists were represented by USA, England, France, all these, and the toiling people, working class, was represented by Soviet Union. And what did this give? Soviet Union not only liberated Germany, not only defeated Germany, Soviet Union, while going to Berlin, while going to this onward march, liberated many countries of East Europe. Many countries of East Europe which were occupied earlier by either the imperialist forces or by their agents of those countries. A new vista was opened before the world of socialism, world of emancipation. After this victory, in India, here, why British fled? When British fled? When British rulers could understand that after this victory of Soviet Union, after the defeat of Hitler, they won't be able to rule India in the old way. They won't be able to rule India, because in India also the, everything was in ferment. People were coming out. Yes, the independence struggle will crush the British imperialists. So somehow they managed, they conspired to partition India, and they, with the help, with the conspiracy of the Congress leaders and these Hindu Mahasabha, the ancestors of this BJP RSS, all they combined and they supported this partition. And with this partition on our body, British fled, making India independent. This was the result of Second World War also. And not only in India, many countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America was liberated. Why? Because Soviet socialism, Soviet Union backed them, and imperialist rulers were afraid. Then they raised a hue and cry, What? Soviet Union was after establishing communism throughout the world through army, through force. It was a false, absolutely false propaganda, absolutely lie. But they spread this lie, and through this they brought the Truman Doctrine. US's president was then Truman. Truman Doctrine. What was Truman Doctrine? Truman Doctrine is everywhere US forces would be there to stop the onward march of Soviet army. But Soviet did not have such any plan, because Leninism taught us revolution cannot be exported or imported. Stalin enunciated the Lenin's idea of peaceful coexistence. Stalin declared that we are ready to give a blank check, that Soviet Union will go nowhere to intervene. Nowhere to intervene. But if you, the imperialist forces, interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, Soviet Union will go there. Otherwise, Soviet Union will not interfere in any country. And nobody can say, no historian can say, after Second World War, Stalin intervened in any independent country, interfered in the internal affairs of any Indian. Cold War, who started it? This very language, Cold War. What is Cold War? Cold War means open. Military war is not there, but underhand Cold War. This Cold War was the product of Truman Doctrine. The Cold War was the product of the imperialists. They brought this star, not only, they started the Cold War. Everywhere they started to paint a picture of Soviet menace, as if Soviet Union will swallow all the countries. No, because Marxism don't believe in this. Marxism do not preach in this. Leninism did not preach in this. This is not true. And Stalin did never say that we will go and conquer the world to establish communism, socialism. Even during war, there was a complaint against the Soviet leadership by the French communists, even all other also, that as Soviet Union is allied with the French government, British government, US government, so Soviet Union is not helping the French communists, French people in their fight against their governments. There is a beautiful interview taken by Romarola from Stalin. You will find it in a very famous book, famous I would say, you should read it, by our General Secretary, Comrade Prabhas Ghosh. Stalin and the reply to the smear campaign of the imperialists. There he quoted this interview of Romarola taken from Stalin, interview of Stalin by Romarola. There Stalin categorically said, it is not the responsibility of Soviet Union to help the French working class to fight against their bourgeoisie. They will have to fight against their bourgeoisie. It was the idea. Only this thing were brought when this revisionist Khrushchev came to power, and they started this intermingling. They started to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. It was never the policy of Soviet Union under Stalin's leadership. It cannot be, because Stalin was a Marxist, a giant Marxist, a Leninist. He could not do this because it was against the spirit of Marxism-Leninism. Soviet Union could help. Soviet Union could diplomatically help, could politically help, but Soviet Union would never interfere because revolution cannot be exported or imported. It was the error, it was the fault of Trotsky that in the name of permanent revolution, he wanted that Soviet Red Army march through the Europe. No, Stalin did never think like that, never dream like that. It is our misfortune, if you allow me to use this word, that this great Soviet socialism was crushed, rather, had fallen after Stalin's demise. Yes, it was fallen not in 1991. Actually, the decline started very rapidly since 1956 from the 20th Congress when Khrushchev came to power. Khrushchev has it banned revisionists. And by coming to power, Khrushchev started maligning Stalin, this so-called secret speech of 20th Congress. And it was none else but our leader, teacher, guide, Comrade Shivdas Ghosh. Yes, we are proud of it that we got such a leader, such a thinker. He warned. Our party was then very, very small. Still we are small as per the necessity is concerned. But then in those years, we are very, very small compared to ours today. At that time, Shivdas Ghosh said, this 20th Congress will open the floodgate of revisionism. Yes, by maligning Stalin, you are maligning Lenin. And maligning Lenin means you are practically maligning Marxism-Leninism. You are snatching the revolutionary kernel of Marxism-Leninism. So what the tyrant people of the world will fight with? If the ideology of Marxism-Leninism is emasculated, it's shattered, then what weapon will remain for the Soviet people, for the people of the world to fight against imperialism, capitalism? If you go through this, you will find that world communist movement started to decline after this 20th Congress. After this 20th Congress, when Stalin was maligned, because Stalin was the symbol of socialism. Stalin was the symbol of Marxism-Leninism. Whole world working class used to think whom to go to learn Leninism? Stalin. From whom to learn what is Stalinism? What is Leninism? From Stalin. What is Marxism-Leninism in this era? Whom to learn? Who is our teacher? Stalin. So Stalin was the teacher. Stalin was the beacon. Stalin was the light before the mankind. If that light is taken away, whole world, whole civilization was thrown into darkness. And that darkness started to descend from 20th Congress of CPSC. But reality will hit back. You can obliterate the name of Stalin from history, but you cannot obliterate the achievements of Stalin. You cannot obliterate the greatness of Stalin. Stalin will again come. And if you find nowadays, through this internet, we find people, even in Soviet, even in Russia, the youngsters are also trying to trying to rethink about the role of Stalin's leadership. They find that it was Stalin who brought glory, who brought actually exploitation-free Russia to the people and throughout the world. If we had to build, if we had to fight for socialism, if we had to bring revolution, you have mentioned that is socialism is future? Yes. What future can there be? Future means bright future. Today in India and throughout the world, we find the horrible conditions of the working class, the horrible conditions of these laborers. In India also, we find the plight of them. Yesterday or day before yesterday, they were run over by a goods train while they were sleeping. They could not walk further. This is India. This is civilization. This is the democratic country that we boast of. You students, you must rise in revolt. Yes, it is your responsibility. You must rise in revolt. Your organ's name is Students' Pledge. So there is a pledge. And it is the students and youth which will have to take the pledge. There is no meaning. There is no significance in observing the 75th anniversary of the Victory Day if you, the students and youth, do not realize your duties, do not realize your responsibilities, do not go through the history, do not search history for truth. Yes. So on this very day, the students and youth, I do not say of the world, I will only say of India, because we are living in India, we are talking in India. You students pledge, your organization AIDESO, you take the pledge. As students organization, you will take the teachings of Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, Mao Zedong, and Comrade Shivdas Ghosh among the students community of India. Why? Because you students, you have the courage, you have the knowledge, you have the power, you have the character. Student life is the most precious life, precious part of life in the life of a human being. Don't waste it. Don't waste it by doing this or by loitering, by doing this or that. It is the golden time for you. And there is Comrade Shivdas Ghosh used to say, and then only one surest way to live and die with honor. Comrade Shivdas Ghosh, while addressing a conference of yours, this AIDESO, probably in 1974 in Kotak, he said, why don't man are mortal? You have to die. None can live forever. But if to die, how to die? If to die, how to die? Would you die begging in the streets? Would you die like cats and dogs in the streets? Or you will die with your head high, with honor. And what is that honor? Comrade Ghosh called the students' community and said, there is only surest way, one surest way to live and die with honor, with your head high. That is by taking part in the revolution, transformation of the society and the struggle that is going on inside the society. So you students, you are observing this 75th anniversary. You are recalling the greatness of Stalin. You are saluting that great leader. You are singing songs on him. You are writing songs on him, giving him tunes to that. Why? Is it worshipping the leader? No. We are remembering Stalin to get the strength. Strength what? Not only physical strength, but mental strength. And that mental strength comes from ideological strength. Ideology gives us the conviction, and we are proud that in India, SUCI communist, founded, developed, reared by the great leader of the proletariat, a great student of Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, Mao Zedong, Comrade Shivdas Ghosh. With his teachings in one hand, we will go forward. We will go and bring about, we will light the dark rooms, we will light the dark corners of the country with the light of Marxism, Leninism, Shivdas Ghosh's thought. That should be your pledge. Students' pledge on this day should be that we cannot rest. We cannot simply lead a life of khao pio jio. We cannot lead such a life. That is not for us. If we are students, if we know the history, if we feel that we are students of a country where Netaji Subhash Bose was once born, we cannot simply sit idle. We cannot simply go on loitering. We cannot simply sit idle, do this and that thing. No! You have to go to the students, wake them up, tell them the teachings on this 75th anniversary. Why Stalin saved the world? Why Stalin led Soviet Union? Is it for himself? No. It was a character. You have to know the character of Stalin. A proletarian character by what? What is a proletarian character? You have to know it from Stalin's life. Yes, our party has published books on Stalin. If you go through that, you will find it will give you strength. Stalin character will give you strength, mental strength, ideological strength, moral strength, ethical strength. You will be astonished to learn that at the fag end of his life, after the war, Zhukov was saying that Stalin suddenly became old. And some generals came and talked to Stalin that, comrade, Germany has offered a compromise. Your son is in their hands. They are saying if the some general of Germany is released, they will release your son. Stalin heaved a sigh, just replied in this way, how horrific this war is, how many mothers, how many sons, how many husbands were snatched away, were killed in this war. What is the answer? That I cannot think only of my son. You students, you have to think like that. You cannot remain confined in your house. You cannot remain confined on your own. You have to come out. Come out with this torch in one hand and the book in another hand. Go to the slums. Go to the places of the working class. Go to the poor houses. Enlighten them. Wake them. Go to the students who are not yet enlightened. Bring them in the fold of AIDESO and rise up. Rise up. This Victory Day celebration of the 75th anniversary of the great Second World War, only one significance. It will light up energy, spirit inside us. It will light up the revolutionary urge, revolutionary aspiration, revolutionary spirit among us, so that we can go to the field, we can go to the masses, we can take the message of this socialism. Socialism, many say about Stalin's and Soviet socialism, but none could show any other model. None could show any other model of socialism. That does not mean in India, when we will build socialism, it will be a copy of Soviet Union. No. Question of copying is not there. No, but Soviet socialism will remain model till now, forever. And the great leader of Stalin will remain before us. And with them, we will go forward. You students will go forward. And on this very day, I hope you will take this pledge. I do not know how much I could do service to your expectation with my very humble capacity and knowledge. With this, I like to give you a great red salute, like to give red salute to great leader and teacher, Comrade Stalin, great red salute my party, SUCI Communist, and to your organization, AIDESO, and your organ, Students Pledge. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Amitava Chatterjee. You have given a very inspiring, very emotional, and very analytical interaction with us. We could know many things about the significance of this day and also what is our task forward. We are very much thankful to you and we look forward to have more interaction with you on various topics. The students who are joining AIDESO, they know that AIDESO is founded with the aim to which Sri Amitava Chatterjee talked about, with the aim to emancipate the mankind. As Lenin said, that the workers are the gunpowder and education is the flame. That flame of education will be taken over to the workers by the students. Today, during this time of pandemic also, we are seeing that lacks of workers who are actually the architect of the all kinds of luxury, all kinds of facilities which we are uh, which which we are having today. But today, in this crisis period, they are helpless. They are not paid heed to. They are not taken care of. And lakhs and lakhs of these workers are moving in the street. They are helpless, I feel, because first thing, they are not united. Second thing, that they don't have the consciousness the workers and peasants of Soviet Union had during the Patriotic War. And the most important thing is that still the the students and revolutionary people, we have not been able to reach these workers and give them a revolutionary guidance. So on this day, it is, as you said, that it is our duty, it is the real uh, significance of celebrating this day, that we pledge, we all the students of entire country pledge to go to the workers, to go to the poor people, and join more and more students, leaving all our luxuries aside and all our selfish motives aside. Thank you for inspiring us by this speech. I hope the students who have watched this uh, live and who will watch shared videos afterwards also, they will also feel very much enlightened and inspired. Uh, this is the page we have started this online interaction on this very historic day with a very nice interaction by Shri Amitava Chatterjee. And we will be carrying forward. We will be making many interactions on various topics. We request all students to like our page, Students Pledge, to share it, and invite your friends to share the interactive videos among your friends on the Facebook and other social media, and be in contact with AIDESO. Join it in large number and help us in building up this revolutionary movement in our country and worldwide. Thank you all.